Touching first on the leadership life aspect of it, I like to learn from individual leaders that have excelled at whatever position they're in and what got them there. I almost view it as my real life MBA. I get to learn from every one of these people we're interacting with. How did you get to be the way you're at? And I know that's a broad question, but maybe just touch on where did you first get inspired to lead and what did they teach you?
You know, I always gravitate towards back, obviously, my family life from growing up through my mom and dad and my brother and sisters. I was the youngest of four, so I was always the golden child, so to say. If you ask my brother and my two sisters, and I got everything, right? But I always feel like I learned through their eyes and watched them grow up. My parents were great to afford the opportunities for me to excel in the things I like to do. And I really think that sports really helped me mold who I am today. And it's not so much the sporting event itself, it's the preparation to be able to excel on a field or on a court or whatever sport activity you're going to do, because you have to practice, you have to prepare, you have to work well with others, you have to have time management, you've got to just do all the things.
You got to be willing to accept coaching.
And you got to have the ability to understand that you're going to fail more times you're going to win.
Yeah.
And not be afraid of failure, but learn from the failure so you can have those moments of success, and all of a sudden you can have something to reflect back onto and say, that's what got me where I'm at.
That's what I like to take out of failure is, could I be a little bit smarter?
Yeah.
I know I'm going to fail again, but gosh darn it, if I could be a little bit smarter out of that failure, like you won something, like you got to win in there somewhere.
Right. And it motivates you. I mean, when you lose at something in sports, and you're going to lose more times, you're going to win, especially if you have multiple teams or multiple individuals battling for that one first place, right? You're not going to win all the time. Your last game or your last moment is going to be a loss unless you win every time. And so that really inspired me to learn from those setbacks, and what did I learn from them and how to improve, and so I don't make those same mistakes twice, or be able to be better prepared to win. And then life is all about winning. It's all about how you prepare yourself for your career and what do you inspire to do. And so I've always been, since I was at a very young age, got into, I played college baseball, excelled in high school in sports.
You mentioned the word prepare and practice probably 4 times in that answer. It's really about preparation. It's not necessarily about how you play in that game. It's how you prepared to play in that game.
Well, and I've always played team sports. I do play some other sports that are individual, but you have to have a team surrounding you, right? So if you're going to excel in these positions, whether you're in law enforcement or you're whatever career you're out there as a mayor, where I'm at today, you have to have a quality team around you, and you've got to be able to attract those people, understand on how to motivate them or excel, right? And I always thought, like, as a mayor, and where I'm at today, that you're like the coach of the team.
Yeah.
And so you want to make sure they have the tools to do well, they're practicing well, they're getting prepared for whatever that moment might be, and make them very successful. And so when they do well, we win. If they don't, if we lose, then it's on the coach. Keith Stevens was my first chief of staff, and he understood exactly what I was looking for, how to make sure that we're engaging our employees, engaging the citizens, and getting the business owners, and understanding that they all play a role in this, right? When we succeed, they all have a spot in the team to be able to do that. If we're failing, then that's up to the leadership, and the coaching staff to be able to figure out who it is. And if we're not fulfilling it, it's like anything else. You get a new coach, right? And so, and then I had Greg Falkowski, who succeeded Keith, and he picked it right up. He's very sports-minded too, and he understands that you got to produce, and you got to be able to provide the tools, but you also have to be able to be on the front lines with them, right? Yeah. You just can't say, go do this.
Yeah.
And then
you can't be a general in the back from your high command.
How did it work out for you? Yeah. No, you have to be out there. So we were very hands-on with our ideas, and we didn't micromanage. We were just there to provide assistance that, hey, listen, we're all in this together, so we're going to get our hands just as dirty as you are, because, we're not going to just tell you something to do. We're going to show you that we're all in this together. I learned that at an early age. Like I say, I refer to my mom and dad and my brother and 2 sisters. But I had an incredible coach in basketball, Terry Strawbridge, who, as an early age, he motivated me in ways I couldn't believe because I was mad at him most of the time. I'm like, why are you doing this to me?
Yeah.
And I feel
You're
like
persecuting me.
Right. I feel like you were picking on me, but he was setting me up to be successful because he challenged me. And then he made me challenge the people that were the upper class in front of me and says, hey, listen, I know that you're especially in basketball, I was probably good enough to play in the varsity level, but I was younger and we had some talented people in front of us. My job was to make sure they didn't take a day off.
Yeah.
And those guys hated
Don't you guys
those guys hated me.
take it for granted because this guy coming up is going to scratch.
Yeah, I'm going to push you every day at practice because I want you to win.
Yeah.
And they didn't know that because before he showed up at Hanover, basketball at Hanover Central was just, it was non-existence. It was, we had the longest losing streaks in the state of Indiana at certain points. We didn't win games. It was just
losing was an
we
expectation.
we were the team that you scheduled for your homecoming.
Got it.
Okay.
And we got to win this game.
Right?
Let's call these guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And he switched that mindset, and it took a cultural change, right? And when I saw that, and we bought into it, and we started to excel, and then we got into my senior year, and we won the sectionals before class basketball. We played all against the big boys here. I mean, that resonated, that you can actually take something, and if you work at it and work collectively as a team, and you had a goal in mind, those are great things. That really set the minimum standards how I held myself where I'm at today.
Wow.
And Coach and I still talk. We all play golf. We our high school buddies, we still get together and we still talk about the ups and downs of what how he pushed us, and all of us that was on that team are in a position that are very successful in their life now. And as much as we didn't want to admit it at the time, he played a huge role in that. You got to surround yourself with team. I talked about my chief of staffs and my history there. And then now here at the South Shore, I brought Greg back with me as well because we want to establish that same thing that we did in Crown Point at the South Shore, which then benefits the entire region with that same philosophy. So our goal is to go out there and be providing tools and dollars and motivation to all these communities, that the visitor is a very big part of their fabric of economic engine that can be very successful to raise their values and quality of life.
Yeah.
Because it was very successful in Crown Point. It's produced huge results in the region, just not for the city of Crown Point. And it's a mindset that we need to change, because the one thing that we don't like to always hear going forward is, well, this is the way we've always done it.
Yeah.
And that just drives us crazy. Now, it may be working, and it may be the best thing out there, but if
But
you're
it
not
should always be
challenging,
tested.
yeah, absolutely. There could be something better out there.
Yeah.
And let's not shut ourselves off to think that we're just going to go ahead and just get by. And that's not what we want to do. That's what drives us each and every day to go up to work and say, what can we do better tomorrow than we did today? And then the end result will do itself. Yeah, most people thought when we moved into this role over here that we were going to crawl before we walk and then walk before we ran. Day one, we started running. I mean, we're just going to get right into this because, time is money.
Yeah.
And, in coming out of post-COVID, where the industry that we're involved with, which is tourism and the hospitality industry, probably suffered the most setback in any other industry that's out there, because you needed people, right? And you needed people to be in front of your businesses. You needed people to be able to gravitate and come into your attraction and spend their disposable income in your backyard. And so we wanted to make sure that time wasn't on our side, and we have to get going.
Yeah.
Right?
These people are getting their butts kicked for the last couple of years.
They got some
if we're going
catching
to
up.
bring them help, we got to bring them help now.
Yeah, so in the region, and typically in the industry of tourism, your Thursday, Friday, Saturday, you should be golden, right? People will gravitate, come out of their house, and they're going to go out and spend money. It's what we do on Sunday through Wednesday that is going to make the difference in the private industry and how they survive. So our goal is to be all out there and make sure that we're motivating, attracting, and letting people know that what you can do here in Northwest Indiana, you can do anywhere in the nation, but you can do it right here. And I always use this because we're so close to Chicago, and the cost of Illinois versus Indiana, it's that data just proven itself. So if you're looking at stats, right, the
Yeah.
batting average here in Indiana is much better than the one that's in Illinois, and you get to do the things that 35 miles out of Chicago, right here in Northwest Indiana, with Indiana benefits,
Yeah.
right? So everything that they had to offer there, we can do it here, and it's going to cost you less, and you get more mileage out of that, and so you want to come back. And then when you start to see what the region's all about, you can see the housing market. Why is people gravitating here? It's not so much they're just escaping Illinois to come to Indiana, Northwest
They're
Indiana.
coming to something better.
Absolutely,
They're not just
absolutely.
leaving something
you
worse.
get a
They're
bigger and better house. You got more attractions. You got job opportunities here. You've got shopping. You got attractions. You got the shoreline beaches of Lake Michigan. You're in between Indianapolis and Chicago, right in that medium part. Yeah. So when we start to look at our team that we assembled in Crown Point, from our department heads to our employees, I want to mention them because my 14 and a half years in Crown Point would not be where it's at today if I didn't have those members, being motivated each and every day to excel and take pride in their positions. So, I owe them a huge gratitude and debt because, I wouldn't be where I'm at today without everyone playing their part. And that's to our residents, that's our business owners, and to our school leaders, and then the associated, elected officials from the county, from the city council, and our board of works members, and then all the other boards and commissions that we have that really work together.
Yeah, it takes a village. It literally does.
It did, and we've established that at the South Shore. And before I really gravitated into our workforce there, when you looked at Crown Point, we were a community of choice to live, go to school, but employment. We rarely had turnover of employees that wanted to come to Crown Point. It was a coveted position to come, and the longevity of our employees there were tremendous. And so we start to do our yearly appreciation, dinner with our employees, and we recognized Employee of the Month and all the things that we wanted to make sure that they were, getting an extra, put in the spotlight, because they did a lot of things that were unrecognizable, right? Yeah. And we wanted to make sure they were recognized. And so when we start passing out pins of 40-year longevity, 35 years, and 30, and just those numbers were continuing to grow, it just tells you that was a place that when you had an employment opportunity for our city, and the team aspect that we created there, they didn't want to leave. Yeah. And we want to replicate that at the South Shore as well, because there was a talented group of people that were there when I showed up. And like you said before, we kind of mixed a little bit of the of our outside,
new and existing.
Yeah. And so we're our best days of the new tourism industry that's out there. Definitely seen a huge increase of our partnerships through the region because of our social media presence. We're introducing our partners. We're in front of our news partners, and we're welcoming them. With us being there and talking about where they're at, and all of a sudden we tag 100 people, and then they share that. And it's the old soap commercial, right? And it goes on and so on and so on. The shampoo, and that's worked well. And I've really motivated it and challenged our staff to do that. And so when we don't see a whole lot of sharing or a whole lot of likes on something, we got to ask ourselves, what happened here? From the Rocket Rails in Griffith, I experienced that for the very first time, living in the region for 30-some years. Yeah. Never knew it was there. Never knew it was there, right? And so, but why is that? So let's discover first why that's taking place. But had a great time. Griffith does a tremendous job of taking Broad Street and stretch all the way down and having bands there, and tribute bands, and nightlife and vendors, and that community comes together. Yeah, it's what an incredible experience. We now, as an organization, have to make sure that not so much the visitors from out of our area understand about this,
but the region understands.
Right, and let's support that, right?
And it's interesting. I think that's always been a misnomer in tourism. Is the whole point of tourism is to get people from somewhere else to come here, and you're thinking, okay, but you're missing a big contingent of the market. There's a lot of people in Valpo that could go to an event in Chesterton. There's a lot of people in Crown Point that could go to an event in Griffith. There's so much potential there, and you ultimately, what do you want the local businesses to thrive? Whether they thrive on locals or people coming into the region. You want them to thrive.
And Chris, the other challenge besides locally just getting our identity out there is we've got to develop a relationship with our supporting convention visitors authorities or bureaus that are adjacent to us. Yeah. Okay, because the one thing the visitor they don't ever recognize our county boundaries.
Yeah. They could care less.
They just know that the shoreline of Lake Michigan runs from here to here.
Yep.
Attractions are in Porter County and LaPorte County, all the way out to Elkhart. So when I first got in, and there was this organization called the Northern Indiana Tourism Development Corporation.
Yep.
And we weren't part of it. We were, and we left. And I'm like, we could, just for the pure simplicity of us working together, not working harder but smarter for the visitor experience, we should be part of this.
Yeah.
So we rejoined. Okay, there's a lot of advantages to that, because when it comes to lobbyists and things like that, when you have to work with the state legislators, the power of the North can actually have a much more position of strength and listening opportunities, or the legislators are listening to us, or there's more legislators to see that we're working together for the common goal.
Yeah, so they're willing to invest in you.
Absolutely. So that was number one. And making sure that the barriers or walls that were put up were tore down.
Yeah.
Okay. And from that point going forward, we've established a whole lot of things. If they're successful,
yeah,
we're successful. Because I want Jack from LaPorte to send people to Lake County.
Yep.
And I want to send Lake County people to Jack over there in Porter County and LaPorte County, and John all the way in Elkhart and stuff like that. Because you have to. You can't keep spending your same dollar here and have the same over and over experience as a local person, and then expect somebody to go out and not spend their dollar somewhere else. We're supposed to make people feel welcome, and what can we do to help you to have a great experience here, and not worry about, there's something great over in Porter County, and you might want to go see it, but I'm territorial.
I would discourage you.
Yeah, just stay over here and not have a good time, and they go, why did I show up here?
Yeah.
Right? And now they're going to come back and go, well, listen, I can stay in Lake County and still drive 10 minutes away and see something great. Or I can stay in Porter County, and we can bring them over to Lake County and go to Festival Lakes and see Tom's, or the Pierogi Fest, or or the Rock and Rails, or go to Crown Point at Bulldog Park for a concert, or just see all the historical downtowns and or the winery trails, or go to the breweries.
Yep.
These are all great things that we can do to share in the marketplace for that visitor to understand that they're getting a value in their dollar, and what a great place to come to.
And most of the people here are going outside of this region to go find those things. They're going somewhere else to go to the winery trail. They're going somewhere else to go to a brewery. They're going somewhere else to go to a music festival. There's festivals right here. There's wineries right here. There's breweries right here.
And at this point right now in this conversation, this interview, I haven't even mentioned our biggest attraction, which are sports. And we recently got a study that was done in 2021 about what the industry in tourism in just Lake County alone.
Yeah.
Okay. Over 1.1 billion with a B, all right, was spent on tourism in the region in 2021. And this is post-COVID. And that's the highest number ever to assemble in the region.
Yeah.
Okay. And so you can see that out of COVID,
Those dollars.
we're coming through there. And not to go back to the Crown Point opportunity, but I believe that we set that tone a little bit because we invested in amateur sports day one, dollar one when I became mayor.
Yep.
I took a lot of flack for that, because people said first of all, they always thought, let's get the kids off the street and give them something to do. Well, we did that, right?
Yeah.
Well, you're spending a lot of money on sports. Well, in Crown Point, we don't have a lot of big boxes, right? That was not, we're not going to compete.
That wasn't going to be your economic
No, I mean, if I did, I'm hurting Maryville and I'm hurting Hobart, right?
Yep.
And so we wanted to be good partners. So our big box was our sports complexes.
Yeah.
Legacy Field, Center Ross Park, Bulldog Park. We invested in our in-house leagues Monday through Thursday.
Yeah.
And then on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, they became tournament facilities. And it really gravitated a lot.
Amazing how that strategy is just playing out as you circle back to what you were talking about, hey, we got to fill this Monday through Thursday.
Yeah.
Sunday through Thursday, but Monday or Thursday, Friday, Saturday, we got it booked.
And as soon as we built those fields, and we had some good partnerships with the Dean and Barbara White Foundation, the city redevelopment commission put money into those facilities. We took off. Those were our big boxes. That's what filled a lot of the voids that we talk about, our mom and pop shops and our locally owned businesses in Crown Point. That created nearly $500 million in new wages, okay, with the local option income tax, that's what's out there, because that's part of the property tax relief, right?
Yeah.
That whole formula has to come. Here's the most staggering thing that people don't realize, is that over 190 plus thousand houses are in Lake County. That's growing, give or take, right? Tourism by itself supplements and saves each homeowner $665 on their tax bill. If tourism was completely gone and we took that 1 point out of the equation,
Everybody's bill goes up by $700.
or because of the tax caps, that's $665 would have to be supplemented from some other program. You're able to go out there and do more infrastructure on your roads. You're able to hire more police officers, more firefighters, more quality of life programs come in because tourism left their checkbook here, paid for things that you can enjoy all year round. The one thing that we are lacking in the region to make us more competitive in the marketplace, Chris, is a convention and sports arena. Okay, let's talk about that. That's not a convention center, but a sports arena. Because when you start to look at the number of hotels that we have in the region and the rates that people stay in them, okay, but we see a complete dip in the market share of people staying in the region when it gets colder.
Yeah.
We don't have indoor facilities to accommodate the things that else people go. So we think that long term, if we can get the RDA, our organization involved, the county council and the county commissioners to understand that this is a huge impact to raise that $665 to $800 to $1,000, right? That we can build a $170 million venue that's going to have a convention center component of it, a sports arena component of it. It's going to create more jobs, more opportunity. It's going to be able to attract the mid-major events from the NCAA, Indiana High School Association, your colleges from Purdue Northwest, IUN, other events that can take place in there as well. And that's going to fill the voids that we can actually have something that's going to last 12 months out of the year versus 8 months out of the year.
Yep.
The rates of those hotels are going to continue to rise up. People are going to gravitate here to the region, and it's going to make us truly the top destination for amateur sports in Northwest Indiana, and be able to do it out of the Chicago market with Indiana benefits.
Yep.
And the most important part of this whole thing is a quality of life amenity this size, that magnitude. It's never been seen by the history of our region. Not one business tax dollar or residential tax dollar will have to pay for it.
Yeah.
But you're going to get the value.
Perfect combination of what transpired to get the casino situation where it's at, and taking a good chunk of those dollars and putting them back in the region to foster something that otherwise everybody here would have had to pay for.
So we have a golden opportunity, and I'm very confident that the foundation of this grant process and this dollars that could be landed back here into the region is well on its way. Is it its best version yet? That's a debate to be talked about. But let's not look at the gift horse right now and say we don't like what's happening. I mean, I got a sheet right here that shows you this is just this year alone, Chris. This is we've got over almost 50,000 participants from different sporting events coming in the region itself. This generates over 12,500 room nights. And it has a $10.5 million direct impact just based on how these programs work.
Obviously, you got a great sports background, but what do you learn being a referee? Because you get to see people play hard and compete hard, but they've also got to play within the rules. And so you see sort of the best of competitiveness, the best of discipline, or maybe sometimes the worst of both. But what do you take from being a referee that educates the other aspects of your life?
Well, first, let me tell you why that's the only sport.
I know you get a lot of appreciation and fandom, and people are always thanking you.
Oh, sure, yeah. Referees are.
The players are coming out with $5 and giving you a tip for such a great job.
Actually, we've seen a lot of improved appreciation and sportsmanship from the players. That stems from the coaches and stuff like that, because there is a shortage on referees. There's no doubt about it. And unless there's a better appreciation for the game itself, that we play a part of that, because you can't call your own, you'll never get nothing accomplished.
Yeah.
But basketball to me is one of the most fascinating sports out there. That's why I gravitate. I played, I coach, now I referee, because I think that's one of the most impactful sports out there, that you need actually teamwork to excel and achieve success. And the referees play a big part of that, because you got to be able to manage what is taking place out there, because it's nonstop, chaotic 5-on-5, and there's 3 of us out there. In some cases, only 2 at the lower levels. And you got the coaches, you got the fans, and you know, I did it because I love the game itself. I don't want to watch it in the stands. I want to be involved in it. That's why I gravitated towards back to it. And then when it's year-round, coaching it just became
too much.
Too much, because you couldn't accomplish other things in your life. And so when I got back to when I was mayor, it was a different release of 2 hours. So almost 3 hours, because you have an hour before the game, you have basically an hour and a half, 2 hours of the game, and then you have the travel time back. And during that time, nothing else in your world, nothing else in your life, you know, whether good, bad, or indifferent, is put on hold.
Yeah, you can't be checking your phone.
Nope.
You can't be listening to somebody's concern.
It's an incredible self-fulfillment of a release of just shutting it down and enjoying something you actually love to watch. Again, you can play, you can coach, referee. Hate watching it in the stands. I'll watch on basketball, but more times than not, when I watch a high school basketball game or a college basketball program, I'm watching the officials.
Yeah.
You know, and it's all about angles. So some of the things that we talk about with the coaches now, the pregame will set the tone for everything. We'll talk to the coaches because we understand that wins and losses are huge to them. They want to win, but we want to make sure that we're doing it in a professional, respectful manner. I said, if I go to have coaches conferences now, and our entire crew does it now. We establish that from the get-go. If we're going to have a conversation at any point in the game, you're going to have a question, you're going to have a concern. But if we can't have a respectful, professional communications, then we're not going to talk.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you elevate it up there, the conversation's over. And so if ever you have a passionate coach, and there are very few, there's some are out there, they don't like a call, or you didn't like your partner's call, and they want to bark in your ear, I'll immediately go, where's our agreement?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're right. Sorry.
Yeah.
And immediately deflates the conversation, brings them down to a peer.
I realize we can't yell. We got to talk.
Because if you're too wound up, you're not going to listen to what I have to say anyways. So let's bring it down a notch. We'll talk. And if we don't, we're going to move on.
Yeah.
And that works tremendously. And then we always establish the fact that this is a physical game. It's our job to be able to figure out if that action of physicality was within the rules or against the rules. If in our angle, if it was against the rules, we're going to put error in the whistle, right? And if it's not, because it's a physical sport, we're going to move on based on the flow and the action, and interpret it. We'll have times where somebody's at the timeline where the 10-second line's at, and they get a steal, and they're going to break away, and we know it's going to be a breakaway layup, and they should make that shot, right?
Yeah.
And a marginal contact, and the coach is honest, there's a foul, and I'm like, are you sure you want that? Because I think you're going to get the layup here, right? All right? I mean, you have to be able to think like that. Again, we don't try to adjudicate a call based on we feel the advantage.
We
or
really
disadvantage.
like these guys from Griffith.
You got to have that background and knowledge, and how are you going to manage that game? Because the level of competition sometimes will dictate how a game could be as beautiful as it can be, or it can look very bad. To me, as you rise up and get deeper into the high school playoffs, from the sectionals to the regionals to a semi-state, and I was fortunate to do a state final this past year, it's easier to officiate those games because the talent is so much better.
Their experience dealing with
a foul looks like a foul.
Yeah.
And a travel is a travel, or the flow of the game is so much better because you really have talented players, whether it's the girls or boys side, at the highest level.
Yeah.
It's difficult to see games where you have maybe not the most talented teams out there, and they're falling down on their own. They're pushing and shoving, and you get to say, well, I can call everything.
Yeah.
Well, how do I triage this game to get us through to a result?
So it's not a 3-hour game.
Yeah, I mean, so you got to sit there and look based on your experience, and get through that, and you got to be able to communicate to the coach that what you're seeing might be different than what they're seeing.
Yeah.
And there's a 3-man system, right? So typically the referee that's standing next to the coach is considered what's called a C slot. That's the center slot of the floor, not from north and south, but from east and west. And that person, 99% of the time, unless the ball's in front of him, is watching all off-ball
activity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the coach is watching the ball in your ear thinking that's what you're watching.
Yeah.
And because you're standing next to each other.
And he's like, how did you not see that? And you're like, I'm intentionally not watching
If I'm watching it, I'm not doing my job, right?
Exactly.
And so from being a coach
proximity,
to
you're the one they want to grab.
Yeah, from a player to a coach to a referee, we tend to have a better vision of the application of the game. And so usually the guys that are really good at what they do out there can look at all aspects and make sure that they're seeing things. And have a patient whistle sometimes. Don't anticipate, don't look through.
Yeah.
And never ever try to, look at another game film and tell somebody else did something bad. I mean, as another official. I mean, because you don't know what they're looking at. I mean, I can watch it from TV here and go, I think you missed that call. But from their angle, they saw completely different, right? And so the TV people, the fans are all at different angles of the floor, can see things differently.
And these people are making decisions in nanoseconds
Yeah.
of time. So, bear with them a little bit if they might have seen that a little bit different than you saw.
Yeah, so we encourage more people to get involved. We have a great feeder program with the Lake County Athletic Association. We're also part of the Northwest Indiana Association, and Hoosier Athletic Association. So we have pretty much the same nucleus of men and women officials that are in the same associations, but each one of those schools have a different affiliation who assigns.
Okay.
And then you have an assigner, and then you get your games, and you go. So when it comes late October to March, we're usually rocking and rolling for maybe 4 or 5 nights a week, and all of a sudden winter's gone.
Yeah.
Because you're not sitting at home complaining about snow and it's cold.
Yeah.
You're getting in your car with some of your best buddies, and you go work a game, and it's a great opportunity to shut off life as you know it for just a couple hours.
That's great. That's absolutely great. And you learn a lot that I think ultimately helps you in the other aspects of your life. Like, hey, if we're having tension, let's dial it down a little bit.
Yeah.
Breathe, and just let's look at the situation with a little bit less emotion, and figure it out.
Yeah, it does help too that I've been fortunate to work with a consistent crew, because then you know what to expect, and then when you get into playoffs, in the sectionals, they break all that up. They encourage 3-man crews to work all year long,
Yeah.
and then when you get to the playoffs, we're going to break that up, and you're going to have to work with guys you never worked with before, and it's going to take you 3 or 4 games to get that sectional final to figure out what do we got here, right?
Yeah.
But you got to trust your partner. You got to be able to stay in your primaries and not over accelerate or just.
You're not there to influence them. You're there to respect what they're doing.
But they've earned the right to be there. So
Yeah.
that's the first thing you got to remember is the fact that how you got there is the same way they got there. And what did you see? What was different, right? And then you hear the perspective of the other guys, and or we'll watch game tape from college or something else, and we'll roll real quick and go, "What do we got here, guys?" And it's amazing how if you got 50 guys in a room watching a film, it's not 100%.
Yeah.
Well, I got to call the charge. I got to call the block. I didn't see a travel there. I had to call the intentional, or So the human aspect of how people look at the game is what is so cool about the human aspect of the players, and then human factor from the coaches.
How has tourism changed over those 40 years?
Well, I mean, obviously, through social media and through the internet, through how you do your travel plans and how you, plan a trip. If you look back to
use a triptych from AAA anymore and flip through the charts.
Yeah, but we do have an area guide that we still put that out there because I think you having something tangible in your hand versus trying to, because not all the time do you have great cell service sometimes or internet service and something happens. I mean, we still produce that area guide of all our attractions and places to go and people to see and how to plan, right? It's the Clark W. Griswold philosophy. You got the triptych, and you got to be out there, and you got to show where you're going, right?
Yeah.
And you got to plan the whole thing. And
we'd have the milestones as a kid.
Yeah.
We'd be like, "Oh, flip to the next page. We're in Tennessee. Okay, flip. Okay, now how far down on the page are we in?"
Yeah, I mean, there's milestones and there's history to be told, right? So I don't think that part has changed at all, but just on how you get to your hotels and how you check in and what's available and and what's how people travel today are a little bit different, right? And that's just technology, and we have to embrace that. With our 40th anniversary, we talk about our logo here. So you can see our new logo here. That's our 40th anniversary logo, and we produced an acronym within the name itself because it's 40, right? So we're forging opportunities for residents and travelers and youth sports in the region. So that says 40. Mm-hmm. And you go back and look at each decade. We're once we get past this year, we're going to be closest to our 50th anniversary than we ever have in the past, right? Again, through the leaderships of many different presidents and CEOs that have served this capacity, all the employees and travel counselors who have took their time to be part of the South Shore, formerly the Lake County Convention. Mm-hmm. The visitors who come through here, our board members who have come and gone, right, have all left their mark in a positive way to move the industry of tourism to where it's at today. And I'm just very fortunate to be able to pick that baton up and try to make the new mark and just leave it better than I received it when they left it to me.
Basically like a coach. You coach, you come onto a team, you want to take the players you got, you want to recruit great new energy, you want to teach them your discipline, and then you want to go win as many championships as you can.
We created a motto in Crown Point, building a stronger community from within, and that motto still resonates today with Maryland and the employees there. We created a new motto for our organization going forward here is building a stronger tourism industry, one visitor at a time.
Okay.
And that's makes sense, right? I mean, if we can we can continue to bring somebody back or add to that population number, it's going to help our businesses. My goal is to put as many people in front of your business as possible. It's for you and the private side to have a business they want to welcome and come into your door.
Yeah. What impressed me a lot at the recent partner summit that you did up at Hard Rock is how many areas you can help people with. A lot of people probably presume it's that visitor's guide and you say, oh, well, I want to add in the visitor's guide. Okay, that's one thing. But there's 15 other things where you're helping them with email marketing and social media and video production and event hosting. It literally is a whole array of marketing services. For a lot of those smaller and mid-sized businesses, they don't have a department to do all of this stuff.
Our Rose and Rise Awards, are well attended, and we're getting more information out there on how they can partner in that. We anticipate that being another. And nominations are open now, so if you know anybody out there that has provided you an incredible service and made you feel more welcomed or went out of their comfort zone and did something beyond they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Take 10 minutes and write them up. And what's cool about that is, if they go to a committee, not by us, it's an outside source. They picked all these winners out. Then our partners all come back in and want to be partners in rewarding these people. Right? They get their rose, they show up, they get announced. Last year they walked out almost $1,100 in gift cards and baskets. Right?
And they get great treatment. They get a massage or their hair done.
Everybody gets that, right? Everybody gets that, right?
Ride, yeah.
So it's and that just sets the tone. And that's a national. That's not just a South Shore event. That's a national event this year, every year. And so whether you're in the service industry, or if you're in the leadership industry there's two different opportunities out there for the Rose and Rise.
Good news wasn't supposed to work as a business model. Focusing on the positive wasn't, deemed to be a likely route of success in modern media. The trends of positivity versus negativity when you get to social media, they don't seem to be going in the positivity's favor. What do you think it is about this region or the people around here that have allowed this to still be here?
As far as the good news is concerned?
Yeah. How did this work here?
I got to give you and your team all the credit. You guys are at every event that is being put out by either the cities or towns or chambers or whatnot that is gravitating towards, the positivity of what's taking place, right? And you're sharing that. You're well known on the social media. You have a brand name that people recognize, and then when they see your team members come to these events, they're so welcoming to extract why they're there. And then I think that's what's making this the huge success, because you're hearing testimonials, not planned testimonials, you're hearing testimonials from people that really see the value, why they're at those events and what it means to them and what they mean to be somebody from the region. You're capturing all that and putting it out there for people to see, and it's positivities, right? It's when you hear it, you want to gravitate, you want to be associated with, and you want to be on that team. I think through your leadership all the way down, you guys have done a great job of, and I don't use the word you're selling it, because it sells itself. And people are so turned off.
I think good does a great job of selling good. You just have to actually put a light on it.
You've done a great job putting a light on it, okay, 24/7. You put a light on it, you put the sun on it, you put the moon on it. You've done all those things that make people feel good about themselves. And that positive news should be our number one position. I can't wait to start celebrating your guys' 25-year anniversary and your 50th anniversary, because you're going to be here, and you've got an organization here that believes in what you're doing. I know the history we've had back and forth are all about positive news, and how you covered Crown Point and helped us share that message to the community, helped really put our best foot forward and get all the positive things that take place in the region, not only in Crown Point, but regionally wise from Lake County into Porter County, into LaPorte County, and it's incredible what you've done to take news and make it what it's supposed to be, positive.
Fun.
Yes, but you are doing something differently. You're actually taking the good news and making sure it's being heard out there.
Well, thank you.
So congratulations, you and your team.
We're some of all of the parts of Northwest Indiana, and ultimately we're a mirror. We just reflect what's out there, and we're very lucky that if people didn't do a bunch of nice stuff, or if they weren't generally good to each other, or doing things positive, we wouldn't have a lot of work to do.
We're in Valpo. This is your home base here, so I wanted to make sure you had a autographed copy of one of our posters here from. You recognize this gentleman here?
Oh yes, Jeff Samardzija. Yeah, interviewed him a couple of times.
Yeah, so he was the guest speaker at the Gary Oldtimers this past year, and he was one of our poster series that was generated from the South Shore Convention Center. So we made sure we got a signed autographed copy that I'm sure you'll be proudly displaying in your office here.
Absolutely.
It makes a lot of sense here, because he's a Valpo descendant, so in Porter County at least.
When he was making his first pitch in Wrigley, was right after we launched, and there was 3 of us working above my garage when we first started the site. And I turned to Brett Fuller, who was my main guy working with me, and I said, Brett, call up the Cubs. We're going to get a press pass. I'll be down in the field taking pictures. You'll be up in the press box. And he said, I don't want to be discouraging, but do you realize we're Valpo Life, right? And I said, well, yeah, we're Valpo Life. And he's like, we've been around for a couple months. Like, most people in Valpo don't even know who we are. And I said, that doesn't matter. They won't know. Just call up the Cubs and say, we're the main online good news media in Valpo. And he's like, well, we're the only. And I said, okay, we're the only and the main. Come on, quit knocking it. And he called up, got us press passes, was down on the field. We were down on the field that day, taking pictures, shooting a video, all that kind of stuff.
I just thought maybe that would be appropriate for you to display here in your office, because you know the history behind Jeff and what he's done for football and baseball.
Yeah.
And he gravitated, obviously to baseball, and he pitched for my team, which is the Cubs. I mean, I'm sorry you didn't ask that. Cubs or Sox, and you know where I'm at.
Yep.
I'm a huge Cub fan. But yeah, so but before I leave here, again, I just want to make sure I close and say thank you to you and your team for what you do. Enjoy the nightlight leg lamp here and what it means. And I represent Northwest Indiana, Lake County, our board of directors, our staff, and want to say that whatever you need from the South Shore visitors or Convention Visitors Authority, we're here to help.
Awesome. Well, thank you again.
Thank you.